A horrible crime in North Hollywood, a neighborhood there. A woman is found beaten to death inside her home.
The woman's husband, a Glendale firefighter, was taken into custody, accused in the crime. KTLA's Alina Bovian is live in North Hollywood with what we know. Alina.
Imagine loving someone so deeply that you share a home, a life, routines, quiet mornings, inside jokes, and then one ordinary day, that life ends in a way no one saw coming. Today, we're talking about Mayra Jimenez, a woman whose life didn't just stop suddenly, but whose death raised questions that still don't have clear answers. Questions about trust, control, silence, and what really happens behind closed doors. Before we get into this, let me say this. Stories like this matter. They deserve attention, and they deserve honesty. So if you're watching right now and you haven't already, take a second to like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and click the bell icon. These cases don't stay visible unless we keep them visible, and staying silent is how stories like Mayra's get forgotten. Now let's talk about who Mayra Jimenez really was, because she was more than a headline. Mayra was a 55-year-old elementary school teacher in North Hollywood, Los Angeles. She worked with young children every single day, shaping minds at an age where kindness, patience, and safety matter the most. People who knew her describe her as gentle, dependable, and deeply committed to her students. Teaching wasn't just her job, it was her identity. For many kids, she was the adult who made school feel safe. At home, Mayra was a wife. She was married to Andrew Jimenez, a firefighter and paramedic with the Glendale Fire Department. From the outside, this looked like a stable, respectable household. A teacher and a first responder. Two people whose professions are centered around helping others. The kind of couple no one would immediately question. But as we've seen time and time again, appearances don't tell the full story. On the morning of January 21st, 2026, something happened inside their North Hollywood home that would permanently change everything. Later that day, Andrew Jimenez walked into a police station and asked officers to perform a welfare check on his wife. Think about that for a second. A husband asking police to check on his wife, framing it as concern. When officers arrived at the home, they found Mayra dead. Investigators determined she had been killed, and very quickly, this stopped being a welfare check and became a homicide investigation. Andrew was detained and soon after arrested. He was charged with murder. And this is where the tension really begins to rise, because people immediately started asking the same question you're probably asking right now. Why would someone kill their spouse and then go to the police asking for a welfare check? Was it panic? Guilt? An attempt to control the narrative? Or something else entirely? As detectives worked the case, they made it clear this was a domestic incident and that there was no threat to the public. Andrew Jimenez was booked into jail. Bail set high. His career put on hold. The man who once responded to emergencies was now at the center of one. And still, one critical thing was missing. A clear motive.
A horrible crime in North Hollywood, a neighborhood there. A woman is found beaten to death inside her home.
The woman's husband, a Glendale firefighter, was taken into custody, accused in the crime. KTLA's Alina Bovian is live in North Hollywood with what we know. Alina.
Hi there. Good evening. Well, neither the victim nor her husband have yet been formally identified, but I can tell you what's still happening here at the scene. Just take a look behind me. This is the residence in question, and the coroner was here a little while ago, but again, neither have been identified.
When you start noticing the behavior and anger and emotional violence, run. Just keep on walking.
As a survivor of domestic violence, neighbor Camille Cabrera says this tragedy feels painfully familiar. Throughout the day, grieving family members showing up to the scene where a woman in her 50s was found dead by police.
This morning around 4 o'clock, a male in his 40s went to the LAPD Northeast police station, and he asked officers there to check in on his significant other who resided in North Hollywood.
Officers responded here to the 5600 block of Satsuma Avenue just north of Burbank Boulevard at around 4:25 a.m. When they arrived, they found the body of a woman inside the home. Police say she was beaten to death. A perimeter was set up, prompting a homicide investigation.
The individual who we have in custody over at Mur3ered Station does appear to be responsible for the incident, and he appears to be in a cohabitating relationship with our victim.
The victim's husband was taken into custody and is expected to face homicide charges. Police haven't released his name but confirm he's a firefighter with the Glendale Fire Department and was off duty at the time.
It's just very unnerving, and living here for 25 years and never even knowing them, but living so close.
It's still under investigation what may have transpired between the couple. For neighbors here, the shock is overwhelming.
It's horrible. I just can't fathom the thought. Just that it's just across the street. I mean, like I said, I've seen so much happen around here, so much.
Now, LAPD detectives, they are still here on scene, and just moments ago, we saw detectives carrying out 2 rifles from the residence. I'm Lena Bibben reporting live here in North Hollywood, KTLA 5 News.
All right, Alina, we thank you for that.
As this case started circulating, people online began filling in the silence with their own theories. And I want you to notice something here, because this is important. When there's no official motive, the space gets filled fast. Speculation spreads faster than facts. So as we talk through this, I want you to stay with me and separate what's confirmed from what's being claimed. What investigators have said is simple and chilling. Mayra was killed inside her own home. This wasn't random. This wasn't stranger. This was someone who knew her routines, her space, her life. And when police looked at the scene, they believed the violence happened there, not somewhere else. That alone tells you this was personal. Mayra Jimenez, her husband, was arrested and charged with murder. Prosecutors allege that a weapon found in the home was used in the killing. If convicted, he faces decades in prison. And yet, even with all of that, authorities have been careful about one thing. They have not publicly stated why this happened. Now here's where things get complicated. Reports began surfacing that Andrew's defense suggested he may have discovered something shortly before Mayra's death. According to these early claims, he allegedly read entries from a diary that belonged to Mayra and believed it revealed something about her personal life that upset him deeply. Some outlets framed this as a possible trigger. But I want to be very clear with you. This has not been proven in court. This is not a confirmed motive. This is part of what his side is saying. And this is where I want to ask you something. Even if someone believes they've been hurt, even if emotions are running high, does that ever explain this level of violence? Or are we too quick, as a society, to excuse rage when it comes from someone we expect to be calm, controlled, or heroic? Because remember who Andrew was. A firefighter, a paramedic, a man trained to stay composed in emergencies, someone trusted to save lives. That contrast is unsettling, and it's why this case hits so hard for so many people. Meanwhile, the community around Mayra was reeling. At the school where she taught, students, parents, and fellow teachers gathered for vigils. Candles were lit. Notes were written. People talked about how she showed up every day for kids who needed stability. And I want you to really think about that. A woman who spent her life protecting children lost her own life in the place she should have been safest. And then there's that welfare check again. Because no matter how you look at this case, that moment sticks out. After Mayra was already gone, Andrew walked into a police station and asked officers to check on her. Some people see that as guilt. Others see it as an attempt to delay or distance himself from the scene. Some wonder if it was shock or denial. Right now, we don't know how prosecutors will frame it, but you can be sure it will matter when this case goes to trial. So let me ask you this. If you were on that jury, how would you interpret that action? Concern, confusion, or calculation? As the investigation continues, more details may come out in court. Texts, timelines, expert testimony. But right now, what we're left with is a quiet, devastating truth. A woman is gone. A family is shattered. And a story that looks simple on the surface becomes more disturbing the deeper you look. And we still haven't reached the most unsettling part yet.
Heartbreaking new details tonight on a brutal murder in North Hollywood. A woman found beaten to death inside her home. Tonight, her firefighter husband booked for murder. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter live at the scene with shocking new information. Leanne.
Mark Andrew Jimenez was one of those heroes who helped battle the Palisades fire. Tonight, he is accused of murdering his wife after finding out that she had had an affair. Detectives carry out 2 large rifles from the scene of the crime, but that wasn't what Glendale firefighter Andrew Jimenez allegedly used to kill his wife, Mayra. According to investigators, the 55-year-old LAUSD elementary school teacher was found dead in the couple's North Hollywood home from blunt force trauma in a brutal attack.
I could hear the detectives just talking and stuff like that from my window because I put my window open. I could just hear them talk about how horrific it was, how it was just bloody, and then next thing you know, they found an axe. They said they found an axe.
A case of deadly domestic violence apparently triggered by jealousy. An attorney retained by the 45-year-old's family says in a statement, quote, "Our office is currently in contact with law enforcement regarding a diary of the decedent, apparently read moments before the homicide that verified infidelity by the decedent."
I still don't see what justifies going to that extent with anybody.
Detectives made the gruesome discovery in the couple's home on Satsuma Avenue after Jimenez went to police.
Around 4 o'clock this morning, a male in his 40s went to the LAPD Northeast police station, and he asked the officers there to check in on his significant other.
Friends say Mayra loved helping others, from teaching children to serving as a non-denominational ordained minister for weddings. They say Jimenez was a huge Dodgers fan, the couple who had been married more than 10 years, even posing with Vin Scully. A Glendale firefighter paramedic since 2008, neighbors say they can't believe Jimenez is now accused of murdering his wife.
It's just surprising, because you never heard anything wrong across the street. Everyone's quiet to themselves. They've never had fights or arguments. You would never expect it from him, never.
And Jimenez is behind bars tonight, being held on a charge of murder and $2 million bail. Live in North Hollywood, Leanne Suter, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Leanne, thank you.
What makes this case linger isn't just what happened, but what we still don't know. Because when everything is stripped down, there's no dramatic chase, no long criminal history laid out in public, no warning signs that everyone agrees on. There's just a home, a marriage, and a moment where something crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. Andrew Jimenez now sits in custody, charged but not convicted, waiting as the legal process moves forward. Prosecutors will eventually lay out their version of events. The defense will tell theirs. And somewhere between those two narratives, the truth will be argued over in a courtroom. But Mayra won't be there to speak for herself. Her voice is already gone. And that's what I keep coming back to when I read through this case. How many people live their lives doing everything right, showing up for others, being dependable, being kind, and still end up caught in someone else's breaking point? Mayra spent her days teaching children how to feel safe in the world. Meanwhile, whatever was happening in her own private life stayed hidden.
Say was murdered by her firefighter husband. The emotional vigil taking place outside Wilshire Park Elementary School, where Jimenez taught 3rd grade. Earlier today, her husband, Andrew Jimenez, was charged with her murder. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam live outside the school with the heartfelt sentiments attendees at this vigil shared. Tim?
Mark, people left flowers and candles here outside the entrance to the school. It is a reflection of just how loved this teacher was. Prosecutors say that she was murdered by her own husband.
She was all of ours, an activist, an advocate, a leader.
This heartfelt tribute from Mayra Jimenez, an educator, gone way too soon. Air 7 showing the massive crowd of teachers, parents, and students holding candles and flowers outside Wilshire Elementary School, where she taught 3rd graders.
Miss Jimenez was my favorite teacher. I want her to still be here with me.
9-year-old Zoe is mourning her teacher's brutal murder, allegedly by her own husband, according to prosecutors.
How did you feel when you found out that she's no longer with us?
Sad and angry.
Why are you angry?
What the husband did, and I did not like him.
Mayra's husband, Andrew Jimenez, a Glendale firefighter, is in custody, accused of beating the 46-year-old to death with an axe inside their home in North Hollywood. According to LAPD, on Wednesday, he asked officers to go check on his wife at the home. That's when they discovered her dead. Colleagues say this was Mayra off the clock, fun, and full of life.
I miss her. It's so unfair. She was a beautiful person, a beautiful teacher.
Thoughtful, caring, funny, quick-witted, because I got beat up a lot on that, being a Padre fan.
In the classroom, her heart beat for her students.
I feel super bad because I've seen her every day, and now I can't see her anymore.
She made sure my daughter wouldn't give up. When she was sad, she would make sure she was actually happy.
She didn't deserve it at all. She was a very sweet person and very much an inspirational figure to me and to this whole community.
All of them forced to say goodbye.
She was my favorite teacher, and I'll always remember her.
Thank you for everything.
Andrew Jimenez remains in custody, charged with his wife's murder. His attorney removed himself from the case. His next court appearance is next month. Tim Pulliam, ABC 7, Eyewitness.
I want you to think about how often we say things like, you never really know what's going on behind closed doors. It sounds cliche until a case like this forces you to sit with it. Neighbors didn't report ongoing chaos. There weren't public restraining orders. No viral warning signs that screamed danger, and yet something clearly existed beneath the surface. The welfare check adds another layer that people can't stop debating. Some see it as cold and calculated. Others wonder if it was panic, confusion, or an attempt to pretend this wasn't real yet. Human behavior after violence doesn't always make sense, but that doesn't mean it's meaningless. Every action becomes part of the story, part of how intent is interpreted. And then there's the idea of motive itself. Do we need a motive to understand a crime? Or do we cling to motives because they make violence easy to digest? If we can label it jealousy, rage, betrayal, we can box it up and tell ourselves it won't happen to us. But what if the truth is messier than that? What if control, entitlement, or suppressed resentment doesn't announce itself until it explodes? Cases like Mayra Jimenez's force us to look at uncomfortable realities. That people who help for a living can still harm, that love and danger can exist in the same space, that the most ordinary homes can hide the most devastating outcomes. So I want to leave you with this. How well do we really know the people closest to us? How often do we dismiss warning signs because they don't fit the image we have of someone? And when violence happens inside a relationship, do we spend too much time asking what triggered it, instead of asking why someone felt entitled to take a life? If stories like this matter to you, if you believe these conversations should keep happening, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Shadow Crime, and click the bell icon so you don't miss what we uncover next. Your support keeps these stories from fading into silence.